There are two issues there.
Yeah.
The element of sexual harassment, where there's a power dynamic, and especially at the workplace or places where there's a power dynamic, whether it's at school or a church, there's a power dynamic, and that's a legitimate, genuine fear. And we have people who will say, you know what, si alikubali. But that's not, did that person really have a choice?
Welcome back to DC and Jazz.
Absolutely. Karibuni sana. We forgot to say Allah. Now you didn't even get the chance to say Allah. 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 But yeah, welcome back. We are so happy to have you back.
Kama kawaida.
Kama kawaida, yeah. It's always a pleasure to have you back, watching our shows, enjoying our content. We really do appreciate. In fact, lately people have been showing up,
I know, right?
Comment section tunaona vile mnacheza kama nyinyi. We really do appreciate bana.
Yeah, na pale kwa DM, keep telling us things.
Kumbe una DM-iwa wewe? Allah.
Guys, so today on set we have a guest. As you can see.
A very beautiful one for that matter.
That's it, Mali Safi.
Mali Safi.
Yes, and I'll just allow her to introduce herself, tell you who she is and what she's doing here. Umekujia nini huku madam?
Mimi naitwa Wangechi Kiragu. Huku niliitwa na Jazz, and I guess by extension na DC.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to be here. Yeah.
You know, Jonga, watu wameomoka when they don't give the English names.
I know.
Wangechi Kiragu.
My name is Wangechi.
Kiragu.
Kiragu.
Sawa.
Sorry.
But karibu sana.
Asante.
We are so happy to have you on set. Definitely happy to just be hearing your input on the discussion we're going to be having today. It's really something that during this season you've had a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's I think a season where there's a lot of gender-based violence. And there's just so many angles to it. What's happening to women, especially. I think was it just a few weeks ago where this guy murdered the girlfriend and went to dump the body somewhere. And then there's also another case just a few days after. So a lot of that has been happening. With the pandemic, there's the rise in such cases a lot. Yeah, so we just wanted to have a discussion around the same, but basically just to narrow it down to sexual harassment. We wanted you to give us some legal guidance or the legal perspective on the whole topic, because we feel it's now something that actually needs addressing now, like we're at that point.
Yeah. So Wangechi is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. She didn't say that. I think she's trying to be humble or something. I don't know why.
You know, lawyers never forget to remind people they're lawyers. You're the first lawyer who does not say.
These are doctors.
Even lawyers and guys from Alliance.
Yes.
According to the law, they have to.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's not right. That's not according to the law.
Yeah, and the guys from Alliance, you could be doing anything, and then they have to remind you they're from Alliance.
Maybe I went to Alliance.
We see you.
We know you. Yeah. So maybe we could start from according to the law. What character or what exactly is sexual harassment?
So sexual harassment can be defined as any unwanted sexual advances. And that is actually very wide. But if I was to give a very simple definition, it will be any unwanted, meaning there's no consent. Any unwanted sexual advances. Yes.
So it's not solicited, in other words.
It is not solicited. It is unwelcome, and it is not being received positively. So yes, there's no consent. The other person is not enjoying it. They wish you'd stop. Yes.
Because sometimes it's I think a very blurry or gray area. Because then when you talk of unwelcome or unwanted, someone said that when alikuwa ameniangalia nilikuwa nafikiri ni kama hata alikuwa anadai hii story. So
that's actually a really good point, because that's where consent comes in. Yes, alikuangalia, but ulimuuliza. You get. So there's she looked or he looked like he wanted it, but did you ask? Was there consent? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And did they tell you they appreciate the kind of attention you're giving them?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's don't leave it just to yourself, your own judgment. You need to ask the other person whether they appreciate your advances.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have on the advances is not only action, it's even words.
Exactly. It could be a text message.
Yeah.
It could be even someone just putting a hand on your hand or a part of your body, and you're thinking, why did someone do that? So it could be, and that's the thing about sexual harassment. It's very broad, very, very broad, just depending with the other person you get, and especially because there's the gender perspective and then there's the power dynamic. So it's actually very broad. Yes.
Maybe just still to try and understand, when you say it's broad, just want to understand which are some of these areas that constitute a sexual harassment. She's talked of touching, for example. Touch. I think that's probably a bit clear sometimes. But then there are other things that are also not very clear whether it was harassment or maybe it was, for example, I'd say the way people like sometimes stare at you until you feel uncomfortable.
That's rude.
Yeah. There's a way guys or ladies will ogle at you. Then is that also harassment?
That's harassment. And also, because you've said that, there are people who even want to ogle at your boobs, for instance, or your... that's proper. Your ass, for
posterior, the posterior.
Exactly, your posterior. Or just something like that. So they are ogling, and their intention is probably to make you uncomfortable or whatever. Just that is harassment. So it does not just harassment is not just limited to touch. It could be something someone said, could be a wink. You've seen those people who wink sijui how, or even licking their lips. You've seen those ones who want to mtu anakuangalia ama anafanya sijui, it could be remarks someone has said, perhaps, and this is very common about part of your body. Could be on the streets. There's a lot of street harassment. So catcalling. You've seen the way the makangas want to hold and touch your body. Just it's very, very broad. Yes.
And I think also even sometimes like the statements that people make that have some innuendo in them. There's a way.
Oh yes. In fact, even jokes. And there are people who want to make you very uncomfortable with the kind of jokes they are making. Even someone you don't even know each other maybe very well, or even a boss, and they're giving you maybe, what is it called? A sexual experience they had.
And it's unwelcome.
It's unwelcome. So that also is sexual harassment. So it could be a joke. And now, especially in the day of social media, someone can send you a meme. A meme, but they're making it sexual. Yes.
I feel like nowadays everything has been sexualized. Like you could just say an innocent statement and it's just sexualized. So people just laugh and you're wondering, okay, why are you laughing? Like I feel like we've sexualized everything.
You'll be holding a mug and someone says something.
I know.
And that's harassment.
Really?
Because as long as it makes you uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It's unwelcome.
Yes.
Someone just make for them it's like an innocent statement, but maybe the motive really is to get you.
Or even the other person, because even depending with the kind of relationship you share, there are jokes you don't make with everybody.
Exactly.
So you're actually, what is it called? When you're needing someone's boundaries, what is that called?
Overstepping.
Exactly, you're overstepping someone's boundaries. So I don't expect people at the workplace to be making those kinds of sexual remarks or jokes. And especially when it's the boss, or even sometimes it's not the boss. Because it could be someone who is even of a lower position, but because they feel they have a gender advantage. Let's be honest. Sometimes it's a man,
It's all from a position of advantage.
Yeah.
Whether by position or by your gender.
By their gender. So they feel that they can make a particular kind of joke.
Okay.
Or even about
and
your
it's
body.
acceptable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that we are talking about harassment, is there a difference between sexual assault and sexual harassment?
Yes, there's a difference between sexual harassment and sexual assault. Now, sexual harassment is like the house where now sexual assault iko hapo ndani. You see, now sexual harassment is a lot of things. Sexual assault is sexual harassment. Now sexual assault has been narrowed down. So sexual assault is where now we've gotten physical, but where there's, what is it called? Forceful penetration. So now that is sexual assault according to the Kenyan law. Because now, depending with the jurisdiction you're in the US, sexual assault may mean something different. In Uganda, it may mean something different. Again, even in Kenya, depending with the degree, even for the physical element, it's not just any physical element.
There has to be penetration.
There has to be penetration.
What about if it's, for example, with a person of the same gender, let's say like women?
It's penetration even with an object or a tool.
Okay.
What about the aspect of groping?
Now that is
What?
groping.
Yeah.
Groping or grouping?
Groping.
What's
Groping.
groping?
Just grabbing from it.
Yeah, someone can come and maybe grab your boobs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that would be considered to be an indecent act.
Okay.
That is not sexual assault.
Okay.
That's an indecent act, which is illegal.
Okay.
But you see, all these things, they fall under what?
Sexual harassment.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about consent, and this is something that we were discussing earlier. Can I give consent if I'm under influence or something, let's say like alcohol or drugs?
That's a very good question. And I actually want to read from my phone because I think this is an aspect that when you look at the Sexual Offences Act and the way it defines consent, which is very, very important. And it says it's if a person agrees by choice and has the freedom and capacity to make that choice. So the first thing is that they agree by choice. And then the second element about consent is that they have the freedom and capacity to make the choice. So it's not enough that the person, you tell us that the person agreed. Were they in a mental capacity to make that consent? Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
So that even includes things like, for example, someone could be depressed and they agreed to it. So that will rule out.
Yeah, if they can prove in a court of law that depression, exactly, that depression altered their state of mind, which again, now that brings in some
highly contestable.
Exactly. But but they just need to show that depression, it caused them not to have, they were not able to make, they were not in a capacity to make decisions.
Okay.
Yes.
So then that basically means, following up just on her question, is if I'm drunk or if I'm high on a drug, that it means I can't give consent.
Exactly.
So if something like that happens, then I have a right to report, especially maybe if I'm not. But also what happens when, because in most cases sometimes that happens, both of us are happy about it.
Yeah.
But maybe the other morning wake up, I'm not happy about it, I go and report, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Exactly, because I feel like even when you look at the culture right now, that's almost a normalized culture. So it becomes again very difficult for genuine victims. But and we've seen people coming out as in the morning and they're not very happy with their choice and they want to harass that other person. But then the truth is that we have a lot more people who are taken advantage of. We've seen cases, we've even had people bragging that they're going to make that person so drunk so that they can get them to sleep with them. Because now what such people tend to do, especially when it was a genuine case of a harassment, like the rugby player, they start claiming that there was consent. So now evidence matters, especially if the person was drugged, then the drugs could be in the system and the police are able to establish that it is true this person was actually drugged. Witnesses. So like in that case, I believe there was a witness. So again, depends with the evidence. Again, you see the court cannot make a judgment where there is no evidence.
Exactly.
And then again, the again, the evidence that is there will again vindicate the person who's been improperly accused.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because there's also that as well.
Yeah, there's also that.
Because sometimes you've gone to report simply because now you don't even like the guy. The one I don't
We've seen people who want to, what is it called? Get money.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
That's it actually.
Yes, get money, extract money out of someone. You know, I'm going to tell your wife.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Ati ama ukose kunipatia pesa nipige nduru niseme ulini rape.
Or I'll tell
Exactly.
everyone what you
Yeah.
did, especially if a person is famous or you want to defame them or you just, taint their name
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
in public. All right.
Okay.
Okay, and there's this other thing that is, I don't know, it almost feels as if it's normal, especially in organizations or in workplaces, where a person in a senior position takes advantage of a person in a junior position. So a lot of times it can be sexual harassment, as you said, in words, actions, or whatnot. But do you think a relationship between, who is it called, a boss or a person in a senior position and a person in
I feel like there
subordinate?
are two issues there.
Yeah.
Because there's the element. Maybe let me just explain.
Yeah.
So the first issue is the element of sexual harassment, where there's a power dynamic, and especially at the workplace or places where there's a power dynamic, whether it's at school or a church. There's a power dynamic, and so at the workplace, this person feels that if I don't agree to this person's sexual advances, I may lose my job.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. Look at right now, these are corona times.
Yes.
No one wants to be losing their job. So that's a legitimate, genuine fear. And we have people who will say, you know what, si alikubali. But that's not, did that person really have a choice? So in that instance, power dynamics, that plays a very big role when it comes to sexual harassment. So actually in a court of law, that actually counts as sexual harassment.
Really?
Yes, because of the power dynamic that's coming into play. So it's not enough that that person agreed to sleep with this person, but was there a power dynamic, or sometimes there's even a threat, or even a promise. If you sleep with me, you'll get this job.
Yeah, that's true. And you're desperate for the job.
Yeah, exactly. You're desperate for the job. Or if you sleep with me, you'll get this promotion. We've seen even interns who need their books signed, and they're told, if you don't sleep with me, I'm not going to sign your book. And that person needs their book signed. They
Lecturers.
need to, yeah.
Hata ma lawyers, senior lawyers, junior lawyers, tuongei sana.
Hiyo ni ukweli. Ala. So that power dynamic changes everything. This person does not have a freedom of choice, and that freedom of choice costs them. So it's not the same as that other person who, has a free choice. Yeah.
I've actually seen in organizations where, for example, you see these organizations that are so strict, especially on relationships. So they say, if you decide to be in a relationship or to be sleeping with someone of a higher position, then you need to sign papers and go to the HR and say that this sex that we are having is actually consensual.
Exactly.
Allah,
Yeah.
hapo.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And that was bringing me to my second point, because now the first one was there's genuine sexual harassment, and now we have another case where people fall in love.
Yeah,
you know,
consensual
you like me, I
sex.
like you.
exactly.
There's
You
nothing
like
you're
me, I
after.
like you. So it's not really harassment.
Yeah.
They like each other. So now for that, people cannot be penalized for liking each other. But things that will come into play is what is the HR policy
and the ethics, the
for that
workplace.
organization.
Yes.
Because again, it doesn't normally reflect well when a senior person is sleeping with a junior person.
Yeah.
That doesn't normally reflect well, and you actually see in organizations, in the HR policy, it requires that if you two have decided to fall in love, one of you needs to leave.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
actually that.
yeah, there's a lot of that in organizations, and it's because sometimes you'll find wakikosana, this other person, the junior person, might start saying, this person harassed me. So to avoid all that, and actually the law which doesn't happen, but the law says in the Sexual Offences Act, it is every organization with 20 employees and above should have a HR policy and speak on sexual harassment. Yes, that should be the case. It doesn't happen much. I don't know whether ground ground, but that should be. So again, the HR policy, what does it say? And the HR policy should talk about what happens when there's sexual harassment, how people are supposed to report. Yes.
Let's touch a bit about sexual harassment in marriage. Is that a thing?
Again, because sexual harassment, remember I said it's a house where it has many two things inside it. It has rape, it has sexual assault. Could be one or could be rape, could be, yani, you understand, rape stroke sexual assault, they mean the same thing. So, and then we have indecent acts, we have, all these things. So because of what sexual harassment means, yes, it is possible to have for someone to be harassed by their spouse. Yes, because we have marital rape.
Oh yeah, so probably then it's along the lines of assault, eh?
Yes.
That actually happens a lot. Eh?
Yes.
Because probably I would imagine the other situations are not likely to occur. For example, tasemaje liniguza vibaya niangalia hivi. I don't know. Yeah, but I am getting you, especially when you get to assault and rape. I think that's probably something that has really been coming up. Because again, also consent now.
Exactly.
Even if you're married,
consent a thing now in in the context of marriage. Because mtu anasema huyu ni bibi yangu, huyu ni bwana yangu.
It's my right.
It's my right. No. Consent is in marriage. It is everywhere. Even whether these two people are married to each other, it's even a legal marriage recognized under the law, but there should be consent.
That's about conjugal rights.
There's something we say in law, your right, even that right is limited.
Okay.
Yes, it is limited, and it is being limited by consent. So it is limited to as far as that other spouse is willing to sleep with you. That is where that right has ended.
So harassment has occurred. How then do I approach it?
Assault,
or assault has occurred. How do I approach it? And I think you alluded to it also when you talked about reporting and ensuring that you have evidence and maybe people who can support the version of the story. But maybe again you can just quickly give us some guidance, and especially also probably you as a lawyer, where people can go to, where it will be very easy to get such help, because sometimes I think we want to report some of these issues, but you don't even know where to begin.
Exactly.
You don't even know people who can actually help us.
I think that's a very good question, and especially when it comes to sexual assault, because it's of a very sensitive nature. And by sexual assault, I mean rape. So once someone has been assaulted, it's very important not to take a shower. You need to visit a health facility immediately or within 3 days for them to examine you. And it's good to go to a very good health facility because they need to know how to handle. That's evidence. How they handle you, that's evidence. Again, don't throw away your underwear or whatever undergarment you are wearing, because again, that's evidence. It needs to be examined, and it's evidence that will be used in court. So do not throw away your undergarment. Do not wash. Do not shower. Do not wash your undergarment. That will be used as evidence. Now, when you go to a health facility and you go to a good health facility, they should, and you tell them when immediately you go, don't allow yourself to be handled by just anyone, because again, they could tamper with the evidence. So you go, you report to the health facility, and then the doctor who's supposed to see you, they're supposed to fill in it's called a P-what form.
P3.
It's a P3. I think there's another one for rape.
Okay.
I think there's another one for rape. I'm not sure, but I think there's another one. So they need to fill in that form, and now that form is what is going to be used by the police. You go with it to the police for it to be used to charge that person and as evidence. So yes.
So ideally, then that means, from what I'm getting from you, is if I have been assaulted, maybe the first destination will not be the police station.
Yes.
It's a hospital.
Ideally, probably.
I would advise go to the hospital first.
The next steps now will
Exactly.
determine whether you have a case or
And
not.
even because of how I want to imagine the physical and the mental state of this person. So I think it's very important for them to visit a health facility. Also, depending if there are any drugs in the system.
And also, I think people usually need to be, for example, tested.
Exactly.
Also given drugs.
Exactly.
Like PEP,
Exactly. And sometimes, again, when you look at some forms of sexual assault, they are very, very violent. So that's why I would advise someone to visit a health facility and to state immediately that they are going there because they are a victim of sexual assault, so that they will be handled correctly. And not because if you go there just like a normal patient, that is evidence that will be tampered with. Do not put your undergarments or your underwear in a plastic bag. Yes, put it in like a brown bag, I think, or just don't put it in a plastic bag where it can sweat, and then again tamper with the evidence. Yes.
All right. I think, and then now the other question was, would you know then people who, or organizations or things, so apart from the hospital, are there other people who can actually help people to push some of these cases?
I know for sure there's, especially if you're a sexual assault or rape victim in near any Nairobi Women's Hospital. They handle that for free. Last time I checked, they used to do that for free. So if you're near any Nairobi Women's Health Facility and you're a victim of sexual assault, you can go there and they will, you go to the, it was the gender-based GBVRC. Yes, GBVRC or something. They have that section that specifically caters for victims of gender-based violence. Yes.
Okay.
And I think also in police stations, I think we have a gender desk now or something of the sort. I'm told.
But
police stations.
Does the gender desk handles that?
Apparently, probably has been set up for such cases. Maybe we're going to find it.
It should. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Any other now legal recourse? Of course, now probably I need a lawyer. I need someone who, or do I leave it to the police?
So now, once you go to you've gone to the police and you've written a statement, and so now it's up to the police to charge. So, but if you feel the case is not, because ideally, that's a criminal offense, meaning it is the government that prosecutes that case. It's not your lawyer. You get so that other person, they're the ones who are going to need a lawyer.
Okay.
But you may get a lawyer to do something we call watching brief. That is the person who's going to sort of ensure that everything is going as it should. You understand? Yes.
Okay.
And I think, and we're going to add this information. I know of what they call Doctors Without Borders. I know they also come in handy when you need assistance. They even offer their ambulances to come and pick up their whoever, and they'll do all those things for free, the medical, the testing, and all those things. They're trying to help you to package the evidence the way it's wanted, and they'll even do those and everything else for free and provide transport and everything. I think they're based in Roraka or something. Yeah, I think we're going to post the details at the end of the video. So for anyone who might need that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I loved this discussion. I think we shall we shall have another episode sometime. Yeah, coming soon. We'll have more discussion on this. This advocate here is a whole well of wisdom that we shall tap from. We shall keep tapping from.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so hope when I invite you next time you're gonna come.
I will come. I have really enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, karibu sana, and thank you once again. We've all enjoyed having you around.
Yeah.
And I believe also for you, you've been able to get a lot of value from the discussion. We hope probably now you're more empowered to deal with that or to help someone who is undergoing the same. So thank you also for tuning in. We appreciate that so much.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, so kama kawaida, like, if If you like it, more share, subscribe if you haven't, and let us know what you think about the episode in the description box. Yep, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.